Good afternoon, everyone. Vic Wratten here from EPAA. Just want to give a big warm welcome to Daniel Skermer from the West Midlands PA Forum. Good afternoon, Daniel. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we get into your kind of world and start the interview, I just want to explain to people who are patching into our interviews for the first time that we are interviewing people we work with, networks that we've been working closely with, EPA members, and kind of giving this broad spectrum of our industry. So I'm really delighted to welcome Dan today, and his very smiley face. Someone's waving hello already. So we are live streaming to our Facebook group, our Facebook page, and our YouTube channel. So thank you again, Dan, for joining us. How are you?
I'm great. And thank you so much for this opportunity, Vic. It's really good to see you.
I know, and that's the wonder of technology. I mean, the last time I saw you, I came to your workplace and we'd had a lovely lunch, and I got to see more about where you work, which we'll talk more about in a moment. But can you explain? This is what I've been doing with everyone in the interviews, but for anyone patching in from around the world, can you explain about where you are in the UK and where you're spending lockdown, essentially?
Yeah, so I'm from Birmingham in the UK. So I live in a flat. I've been unfortunately, I'm on the risk list, so I've been inside quite a lot. Luckily, my flatmate has been amazing. She's been out doing all the shopping. She's been, getting the deliveries and everything like that. And she's really encouraged me to get out and about and do a bit of walking now, which has just made such a massive difference. There's a lot more buzz now, I think, than there was. I don't really know. I didn't really go out that much, but yeah. So I've been in here ever since, really admiring the views outside.
You know what? I have to say, you're still really upbeat and positive, because I know a big aspect of COVID is that it has affected a lot of people from a mental health perspective, and being in flats, and if you're not fortunate enough to be in a house where you've got a garden, or if you were at risk as you are, not kind of unsure whether to go out and do that hours exercise that we were initially offered, because a lot of people still weren't social distancing. But you seem to be really upbeat and positive and smiling.
I think it's been tough. I've had, because I'm naturally quite an extroverted character, love to be face to face with people, and so I've found it difficult. I love the fact that we've all been so technical and we've all adapted to all of these online meetings, but I just don't think you can ever take away that face to face with people.
No, I would agree with that. And I know it's something I've mentioned to you and several network leaders and a lot of our members. We really enjoyed our recent virtual EA conference, but I'm really cannot wait for 2021 and to be back in a room, because you can't recreate that quite the same way doing it virtually. And just, I think it's a natural human instinct to want to be around each other. That's just my perspective. But
we were talking about events and taking stuff online, and one of the first questions I asked was what capabilities do the events packages have to do networking and exhibitors and sharing like with each other, really. Because when you travel to come to a conference and you hear all the fantastic speakers and everything, you want to relish in that afterwards and say, wow, person amazing, and I took that away. What did you learn from it? And you kind of miss that little bit as well. But with the conference that you organised was awesome. We had so many people, especially here in the West Midlands, that came and joined the conference and took so much away from it. So that was great, and to do it so quickly as well and have so much content was fabulous.
I remember saying to your members when I did the Zoom with some of them a few weeks ago, it did feel like a really mad time, because obviously I was working through the night as a key worker and then putting that together. And I don't think people realised how little sleep I'd had. But having been through the global financial recession and knowing what the impact was for UK EAs and PAs then, I kind of wanted that support to be there a bit quicker than it had been for those of us that were working as EAs back then. And I also knew that making the transition to working from home almost overnight, it's very, very different. So whilst it's quite a novelty, some people were isolated or put on furlough straight away or made redundant. entirely. So we wanted to have that 2 days where people could, have some learning and development and not have to pay for it. And, it was never about profit. But we just didn't expect like 8,000 odd people to register for it.
Oh, I'm surprised your computer didn't overload. Oh my
Well,
goodness me.
I mean, literally, I was getting fed and watered through the day and by my husband, but it was literally at the computer for, I think it was about 12 hours each day, but it was a lot of fun. And I did ask a number of the trainers, how did they feel? Because normally you, as a trainer or a speaker, you bounce off the energy in the room. And everyone said there was that kind of excitement and you did get adrenaline, but it's still not quite the same as what you'd get in a conference hall
Yeah,
or a walking event.
I think it's just really testament though to your community and also all the trainers that you work with, because for them to be able to offer their services and for you to be able to pull all of that together so quickly
Yeah.
and be able to deliver all the content that you did, it's just exemplary. It's fantastic. So very
Oh,
much
thank
envious
you.
of you for do that.
Oh, thank you. I mean, we had a lot of the technology at EPA already, but we just hadn't used it a lot because it wasn't, when we first launched EPA, actually, with the webinars, some members wanted webinars, but some didn't. And then a lot didn't show up live for them with trainers. So we've always run them, but not in a massive way because it just wasn't really in demand. And then, almost overnight, everybody's at home and under lockdown. So it then became the big thing. So let's get to the West Midlands PA Forum, because whilst your face is known quite a lot across the UK now, there will be some of our members and other people patching in to watch this that perhaps have heard your name, don't really know who you are. But tell us about the West Midlands PA Forum and how you came to set it up, because you actually come from a non-EAPA background.
Yeah, so I mean, to kind of put it into kind of perspective in terms of my background. So when I was 17, I went on holiday for the first time. I had the time of my life, and I didn't want to come home. And I ended up staying abroad for 3 years, and I ended up becoming a dancer. I was working in shows, traveling in 4 and 5 star hotels, doing 2 or 3 shows a night. So we were doing Chicago, Cats, Moulin
Oh, I
Rouge,
love that.
comedy sketch shows, afternoon activities around the pool with families, and bingo. And then I came back to the UK, and I just felt like I didn't really fit in here much. And I started working as a receptionist in a hotel and doing lots of different administrative duties from that perspective.
Mm.
So I then got the opportunity to be a same-sex wedding coordinator when all of the same-sex marriage laws were passed, but I didn't do very well at that. So I managed to do a lot of weddings. I've organised 262 weddings in 3 years.
Whoa.
Yeah, and that was fantastic. I loved it, absolutely brilliant. But I think it was the first time that the bride was talking about this amazing chocolate fountain that she wanted, and my face just was expressionless. And I vowed to myself that the day that ever happened, I would stop organising people's weddings for them, because
Yeah.
the biggest day of their life, they're really excited about everything. And so I stopped that and I applied to work for Thomas Cook, and I worked for 7 years overseas. I started off as a rep, and I was really proud to work my way up. I was one of the fastest people in those years to work their way up through the company. So I was a head rep. I was a Club 1830s rep. I've been a primetime rep for the over 65s.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, doing ballroom dancing with them and all different types
Oh,
of things in the hotels in Gran Canaria. I worked in 7 different countries, and I to the point where I worked myself up to looking after the west coast of Turkey. So I had 600 hotels to look after in my remit, 2 airports, reps from all around the world. But the best thing about it for me was the training side of things. So I used to love the induction courses and recruiting the reps and training them. And, they'd all be really sad that they'd left their home, but really happy and excited that they were on this journey. And we used to take them to Mallorca. We used to do training courses with them and send them all around the world, wherever they'd be working. And then, unfortunately, Thomas Cook wasn't doing great and made a lot of the management team redundant. And I came back to the UK. So I was on job seekers allowance for 9 months. I applied for 26 hotels and nobody would have me. And they all said, who do you know? And I said, well, I don't know anybody because I've not been in the UK. Well, we can't have somebody working in sales in a hotel that doesn't know anybody. So this beautiful hotel was being built in Birmingham called Park Regis, which was my old hotel. And my boss said to me, just go out there and start talking to people. So I just walked into PwC, for example, went to the desk and said to the girl on the desk, can you help me? I've got this amazing hotel coming up and everyone needs to see it. Who can I talk to about events and accommodation? And she said, oh, we'll send one of the PAs to come and speak to you. And I remember Jackie Goodfellow, she'd been at PwC for years and years. And she just poured a cup of tea and we sat together and she just said, we'd love to come over. Can we bring some of the PAs? I said, yeah, absolutely. And then as I was going around the different businesses, I noticed that they just said, we'd really love to be able to meet other PAs from other companies and start talking to each other. And I said, well, why don't we do this big event where we open the hotel and we'll invite some of the PAs in to come and meet each other? And we did, and we'd had a couple of drinks and, we kind of, towards the end of the night, there was about 12 of us there and we kind of made a laugh and a joke and said, oh, wouldn't it be funny if we set something up in Birmingham? And so the next day I emailed them and said, well, why don't we do it? So we did. And because my background isn't not being an executive assistant before or a personal assistant, I really called on their knowledge and their, what do you want to see? What can we do for you? What events can I put on? What do you want to do? Learning events or social events, or what type of activities would you like to do together and grow your network? And that's how it started, really.
Oh, wow, fantastic. Just bear with me a sec. Oh, sorry. Sorry there. Just passing something over to my able assistant. So how long's the network been going? Because it's actually been going a lot longer than people might think.
Yeah, so we started, that party that I had was in early November 2016. And then we created a logo and a brand for it. And we started at the end on the 5th of November 2016, it was actually born.
Yeah.
We did our first event ever, which was all about updating your LinkedIn profile. And that was both personally and professionally. And I worked alongside the Birmingham Chamber and they promoted it to some of their, patron companies and the premier members. And all of a sudden I was getting all these emails saying I'd love to come to this event. And we did it over lunchtime. It was sponsored by the hotel that I worked at. And it was free for people to attend. And we had 45 PAs come to that event. And then they wanted another one. So I said, okay, brilliant. I'll organise a speaker. And we had a lady that was a PA for a logistics company, and she ended up leaving the company. Well, she ended up buying the company and turning it into a multi-million-pound business. So it was all about aspiration and what you can do, and you can always achieve what you want to achieve. But if you really want to put your mind to it. So that was quite successful. We had 80 PAs at that one, and then we had a lunch with Liz Taylor, and she talked about Gary Barlow's wedding, and it was all about Christmas inspiration and what you could do. We had 100 PAs come to that one. Suddenly it just grew from there.
And so actually it was called the Birmingham PA Forum to start off with, wasn't it? And now it's kind of branched out across the whole region.
Yeah, so Birmingham was good because it was in the city. We could organise lunchtime events, so people pop out of work for an hour or two, come and have a lunchtime event or after work. And then we realised that a lot of the Birmingham PAs didn't actually live in Birmingham. They lived on the outskirts in Coventry and Warwickshire or in the countryside. And so we looked at that area and we thought, well, why don't we, rather than them coming to an event at night and then having to travel home at night, why don't we just do an event in their area? So we launched the Coventry and Warwickshire PA Forum 2 years after Birmingham. And now we've just launched Wolverhampton and the Black Country, which is great. And then we've kind of put all of those brands under an umbrella to look after the West Midlands now.
It's just the growth of it over those years. And I know, having been around in the PA industry for a long, long time, that actually there was multiple attempts to start networks off in that particular region, and it never just, well, it never quite got there. It just didn't lift really. But you've managed to do that in the last 4 years nearly, and you have got a very big committee. I mean, I must say it's one of the biggest committees in the country. But the committee, you've kind of, how is that structured? Because you split them out into different, to look at different areas on the network.
Yeah, so originally we had a social committee, an education committee, and we used to have ambassadors that would kind of spread the word about the forum. All voluntary, everybody doing it, everybody wanted to do it voluntary. And because I think that passion was there from them volunteering and they wanted it to do well. And I think what's been really showing. And then we kind of had a chat. We realized on the committee, and it was one big committee, and I said we need to split down, otherwise there's lots of voices, lots of excitement, lots of things to put together. But then when we launched Coventry and Warwickshire, we had the 5 ladies that work with me over there. They know the area well, they know the local speakers, they're very local to the companies that are in that region, so naturally they can talk to other PAs in that area. That's worked really, really well, and they work so well together. It's been fantastic. Then out of that, with the Wolverhampton and Black Country, we specifically looked at PAs and EAs from that area. So again, I'm not familiar with that area very much, but they really wanted to take it on and say, look, we'll do this, and we'll spread the word about it. And that's been really great. Then we've got the Learning and Development Committee now, who, when we launched our first conference 2 years ago, they were really passionate about having a conference in Birmingham and what we could do there. So they kind of take the reins on the conference for that. And then we have the Awards Committee, who work with me on it was the Birmingham PA Awards and now the West Midlands PA Awards. And they take the reins on the awards as well. So I kind of pull it all together, but they're very much involved in every single step of the process that we do. And providing, it's difficult sometimes because I really have to appreciate and understand that they've got their full-time jobs to do, as I have mine, but we need to, I don't want to ask too much of them, because it's
always a hard act to kind of juggle balance. And even with the EPAA board, I'm very, very light in what I'm asking of them as a group, because like you said, everybody's got full-time jobs, and you kind of, you don't want them to lose passion for the organisation, but you also have to respect the fact that they put food on the table by their full-time job. So
absolutely. And so we have one big committee meeting at the beginning of the year so they can all see each other. But throughout the year, they might not see each other then until the next year. But I'll have smaller committee meetings with all of the individual committees, either via Zoom or face-to-face. And then we'll plan all of the dates that we want for the year, what type of topics they want, what venues do they want to go to. And then I place it all in a big calendar for the year, and then all try to orchestrate it by talking to suppliers or partners or speakers. We're dying to get you to Birmingham, Vic. We really are.
I'll be up there as soon as we're allowed.
I know you will. I know.
But I do remember, obviously I met a good chunk of the committee, and, it'd be remiss of us not to talk about this, but when you won the Manchester PA Award for the external PA network of the year, and that was a couple of years ago now, or nearly. Tell us a bit about that and what made you go for it, and your kind of take on the process, because obviously I was a sponsor, or EPAA was, and I was judging as well.
Yeah, that was just like, even just thinking about it now, it's just on another level. That was just amazing. I think all the team that won the Manchester PA Awards are just exceptional. It's a fantastic night. I don't think I've ever been to an event that big, and to see that many people there. what I found really interesting is you can really see the support that the North has. Like the North has a lot of support and a lot of people all together. And I think the further down you come, actually, I know London's got quite a buoyant population,
Yeah,
um, but you find that you just find that number of people in a room, and most of them are executive assistants or personal assistants. All their
yeah,
businesses supported them by applications coming in.
yeah,
Really, really, we look to the Manchester PA Awards, as a something that really leads us in making decisions and stuff that we do in Birmingham and the West Midlands. And I know the girls will be, we don't copy, but we're happy. We really, I think they like the fact that we do that. But I didn't even realise we'd been nominated. And when I got the call from the team at Make to say that the application had come through, I was just elated. It was fantastic. And then I travelled to London, travelled to Manchester, but because obviously a lot of the committees were working, I could get the flexibility to come out of the office, and that's when we met for the very, very
yeah,
first
yeah.
time. And so I remember opening that door and coming in and seeing you there, and it was great. It was a really great opportunity for me to meet you because I'd heard obviously about EPA and all the stuff that you do, and when you in a small area, you look to the national, the big, the national representatives and the associations and the institutions. You look at them all for guidance and support, and so you look at them as a model to kind of the bit that you can do in your area. And
Mm.
so that was really, really great to have the chance to meet you there. And then when the night happened, we took a table of us came and the committee came. And I remember I was still I remember Geffin Jones was up on stage and he was announcing it and he was going through all the candidates and we were clapping. And I just said to the girls, I went, there's no way we're going to win. And then they'd already said our name. And then the girls were like, come on, and
I do remember saying your network name, and there was a bit of a delayed reaction. I think Geff looked at me and went, "What are they?"
And so when we went on stage, I think for all of us, it just really made us appreciate how hard. Like, I don't think when you're doing stuff like this and you just in it and you're working through it and you're having, you're enjoying the stuff that you do. Sometimes you don't take a step back and actually realize the quantity of the stuff that you do and how much people appreciate it. And I shy away from appreciation, as I think we all do. When somebody compliments you or something, you kind of, you naturally just human nature shy away from it or try to bat it off. So when you get something like that, and the awards upon my windowsill here, it's fantastic. It was such a fantastic night.
I mean, it really, really was. And I think what was great is that you did bring a number of your committee and they all came up onto the stage. So it was, it was a real team effort. And, I mean, I love being part of the Manchester PA Awards. We always sponsor it. We've said we'll be sponsoring next year when they come back. And they are one of my favourite awards, I have to be honest with you, because of the way they've set it up and what they do for the Christie. And, you touched on London. I mean, 10 years ago, London was doing similar, well, in terms of that kind of capacity, in terms of awards. But London, as people would rightly point out, is very heavily populated. But with respect to awards, it started becoming diluted because there was too many awards down here. And whilst, I've got no problem with people setting up other awards in other regions, what it can do is start a dilution. And when you're in a city like London and you've got, I think we were up to about 8 or 9 PAs of the Year awards here last year, it just dilutes it all. And then employers don't really buy into it. There's no prestige around it. But yeah, I mean, I think Manchester is the pinnacle, really, of how to kind of get it right and how they do it. And it's such fun on the night. I know we all had fun, didn't we, again recently, and the Sussex PA Network won this year, and we'll be getting Esther on an interview about that. But I just thought the night that your network won, it was a really, really great night. Fantastic. It was great. I did come over to your table, didn't I? And we were kind of celebrating a bit and everybody was cheering and whooping. So did you have any celebrations afterwards with the committee? Did you all kind of meet up and pat yourselves on the back? And
Yeah, I think I think they were, just beaming with pride, because, like I say, when you volunteer to do something, and you can be, that what you do has been received in that way. That's just it's what you need to keep the boost
Yeah,
going. And if I'm honest with you, it probably came at the right time, because
yeah,
I'm human, and I have had my moments where, like anybody would, I think, have I taken too much on, or can I do
yeah,
this, or am I asking too much? Am I it's really difficult, because you want to support the community, and I really do want to support the community, but you're asking people for venues, you're asking people for venues to do stuff for free, you're asking for speakers to give up their time free, and you can do that, and I'm so grateful. It just shows you that how much people do want to support personal
yeah,
executive assistants, because they wouldn't give up their time and their resources if they didn't want to help them, and I think that's
no.
really, really good.
Yeah, it is. I mean, absolutely. I mean, having been under that framework before, obviously EPA's a little bit different now, but I've definitely been there years ago, when I was, various involved in various London networks and a chair for a London branch of another institute. So we've touched on awards. I mean, you've had to move your awards for this year?
Yeah, so it's difficult, because I was speaking to Amanda from Manchester, and I think they had just opened the application process when they
Yeah,
decided to postpone, which
yeah,
is, I think is, if I the challenge we've got now is that we've been through the shortlisting process.
okay,
So we've kind of got the people that are ready now to meet the judges,
yeah,
and I feel like we're in the middle of the process, and we had a chat, and I spoke to the committee, and I said, look, what do we do? Do we postpone it to next July? But then the challenge that we've had, and this is really unfortunate, is that some of those people already have been made redundant,
yeah,
or and obviously we are facing a really challenging time. Um, so I don't want to kind of let it go
yeah,
just yet. I think also, when we reopen the applications, there's going to be a lot of people that are going to want to use this time and what they've done and how their business has reacted, and their own personal feelings, and the way that they've managed to manage their personal feelings through this process needs to be heard next year.
yeah,
And I think we need to celebrate that as well.
yeah,
So I've just sent a thank you card to all of the sponsors, all of the finalists, just to say thank you for your patience. We will be back with you. We're looking to try and do something potentially in November, whether that be online, or whether that be a social distance lunch or something. I don't know.
yeah. And I guess one to look at is the Scottish PA network. Have obviously they were quite a way into the process, similar to you, and they are going online with their awards. And we are the City Rising Stars. They've gone ahead and announced their winners, and have done various bits on Zoom, and are hoping to do a champagne reception next year specifically for that group.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's kind of now looking at innovative ways to make sure we don't lose and actually capture what has been achieved by those that went for it this year.
Yeah, no, definitely. I was thinking about, I've thought of loads of different ideas. So I thought, what if we hired a studio and we pre-recorded it and we did it in advance, and we told the winners to come and meet us so that we could present it and then play it back, and have a band and have some entertainment included. And I've looked at that way. I don't really want to try and do it on a Zoom call. I want to try and
Yeah,
make it really special. I want them
yeah,
to feel equally as special as we would normally make everybody else feel. And I
yeah,
just feel like we've had the record number of applications this year, and all of those managers that have now recognised what we're doing. And as you say, it's not just they don't kind of see it as just another award ceremony. It's something that is special for
yeah,
them. And those managers now, we struggled so much in the first year to even get one application in from a manager, that
yeah.
now we are getting applications in. And I want those managers to still see that them taking time to complete those applications and
Mm.
recognize those people can still be celebrated.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I absolutely agree, and I look forward to seeing what you come up with on the awards. But I'm sure whatever you do, it'll be really, really special.
Oh,
You
thank you.
know,
And if anyone listening has got any ideas or suggestions, or if they've even, had to rethink some of their own company awards, please, get in touch and let me. Is it Rosemary from
yeah,
Scotland?
Scotland.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely love to have a catch up with Rosemary as well and see what she's doing up there, because I saw that post the other day and I thought that's a great idea.
yeah, and I think, I mean, it's good to at least kind of give it a go. I mean, I've because the We Are the City Rising Stars, 4 out of those 5 winners are EPA members.
Wow.
So yeah, I've made a little bit of a fuss out of them, but they've all been sending each other gifts as well to kind of celebrate, and which has been nice and really love. They're just a fantastic group anyway. But yeah, I understood completely why Manchester, and I applauded them for taking that decision so early on. We at EPA, we run a lot of events, and we kind of know from our own members, even when we get to between September and December, there isn't really an appetite for people to be in a big room with lots of people, whether that's a conference or award. So we'll only be running really, really small courses between September and December in person, providing there's no second wave. But there's been a lot of anxiety around COVID, and that is going to take time for people, even when lockdown's officially over. It's going to take time for people to feel comfortable mentally being back in a room with masses of people again.
Well, definitely.
Um,
I think we've recently, I've written down a couple of our survey results here. So we recently did
mm,
a survey to some of the members, and it said that 70 before COVID, 49% of people worked from home, but now 77% of people want to work from home, but
yeah,
only 2 to 3 days a week.
yeah,
They still want that office interaction, but
yeah,
I still think people, as you say, are going to be very nervous about, hosting events. And I think small meetings will be key, and I think people will still want those. And I think they're much easier to manage from social distancing perspective. But I think huge, gatherings and exhibitions and all of those types of things, again, people will naturally feel very nervous, I
yeah.
think.
And I think that's something for next year. I mean, we've been reorganising a lot of our events, and we looked at the fellow training days, which are our big roadshow every year, and we said, well, we can either cancel these, but actually, we've paid a lot of these venues already, and I want them to have that business in the future. There's millions of jobs at stake here, and I don't want to be part of the downfall of bits of that industry. So we've actually started booking in our events for next year, contacting venues, although they have got skeleton staff obviously at the moment, but to know that there is some hope,
Yeah.
it's a lot of how we do things. We'll be doing virtual events, of course, and
Yeah.
that will be part of the program, but it will be alongside, not instead of, because I do think once the anxiety's loosened up a little bit, then people will just want to be back together.
I think that appreciation of being in the room together, the value that people will be able to take away from that will be fantastic, because I think
Mm,
people really make the most of the time when they are face to face with people and have that opportunity if they can.
yeah,
But I don't think that's any. I don't think we should ever lose that. And I think that's great
mm,
that you're being positive and thinking ahead in that way, because I work for a venue, so I'm naturally very nervous about
yeah,
meetings appearing. And so to be able to have that kind of, no, the kind of show must go on, but
yeah.
we'll address it as we go along according to government guidance, and make sure that, as both of us, we want to make sure that our members are safe and that they're in a safe
Yeah.
environment, but also get the best out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's weird to say it now, but I'm actually really, really looking forward to 2021.
I think I'm supposed to be in Thailand at a wedding, my best friend's wedding at the moment. So he was supposed to get married on the 16th of May in the UK and then have the ceremony in Thailand. So, we're supposed to be there right now. But we all said to him, waiting another 365 days will just make the day even more special when we all get the chance
Yeah,
to.
definitely a massive party. I absolutely love Thailand. It's just one of the best countries. Would have loved to have got married there, but we had a London wedding, as many people know. So what is the network? I mean, obviously for networks and the association, we've had to change how we do things almost overnight. Yeah, I said earlier we had some of the technology there, so it was a little bit easier. But how has the network changed? How have you been communicating with your members whilst this has been going on?
Well, it's interesting because I found that social media has kind of dropped off a little bit. I don't know whether you found the same.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
some people have completely come off social media, and that's, completely understandable.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
but the challenge as well is because a lot of people that are signed up to our database have been furloughed, and obviously
Mm,
a lot of people use their work emails. So we've been sitting
yeah,
there thinking, how can we get in touch with everybody and let them know that even though you are furloughed, we're still doing things that will be there to help and support you. So that's been a bit challenging, but I think word has naturally spread now. So we started off doing quite frequent Zoom meetings. So the
mm,
first 2 weeks were really just, how are you? Are you okay? And they were very difficult Zoom meetings because people were emotional, but we
yeah,
were there to try and lift each other up, and we were trying to say, look, have you thought about this, and
mm,
have you focused on this, and trying to bring the positive. We all had a challenge, but we all had a positive that we had to say. And then I approached. Then your conference happened, which was
mm,
great. Great timing, because then I was like, "Oh, have you seen this? Get involved with the EPA conference and take some of the content." That kind of got the spark back up again for the learning side.
yeah,
So we've done a number of interviews. So obviously it was great to have you on. Was one of our first people that we interviewed, which really lifted everyone's spirits. And then we've had some webinars and some Zoom meetings just over a lunchtime. We've had things like how to create an internal PA network. We've just had one today, which is from a HR manager, about office communication and communicating with furloughed employees and non-furloughed
yeah,
employees. Yesterday we did a great one about the events industry with 5 different events professionals. Those people that do normally organize meetings and events, what them people are getting to the point now where even with friends and family, we're doing the Zoom quizzes, and we're all going to be applying for Who Wants to Be a Millionaire after this. But everyone everyone's thinking, well, what else can I do? So we had people that can do escape rooms from home. We had gin tasting people with gin tasting experiences, cheese and wines, and to or your big 5,000 people conferences that people can still organise, but in a different way.
yeah,
The feedback that we've had from the members is that just that 1 hour, or that 1 hour, or those 2 hours a week where they can see other people. And a lot of our members are only one PA or executive assistant in an organisation, maybe supporting the
yeah,
senior, the top execs, and they feel quite isolated. They want to know, am I doing? Why is my executive not speaking to me, or as much
yeah,
as he or she used to, or I've got nobody else I can really talk to because everyone's furloughed. So
mm,
having that community and being able to talk to each other, I think, has been really important.
mm,
We're going to start winding down the Zoom things because I think people are generally going back to work, but we've got a full program up until the end of June, or the end of June at least. And then, we'll start to look towards like quarter 3, quarter 4. Then I think.
yeah. It's. I mean, it's certainly strange times. I've noticed a lot of people are going back to work around where I live. There's been a lot more traffic on the roads, and I know from an economic viewpoint there has been this pull to get as many people who can go or have to go out to work as possible. And I know certainly at the association we're planning on what we can do for those that are unfortunately made redundant. And it doesn't seem to have been masses at the moment, but obviously we're all keen to see what happens when the furlough scheme comes to an end. But I'm still upbeat about the British economy and our ability to do good business and stuff. And
It's been interesting though. I think we've
yeah,
had a lot of people think about becoming a virtual assistant, which I think is interesting as
Yeah,
well, because I think people are exploring options, and
yeah,
I think people are worried about the security blanket. And if
yeah,
that security blanket's taken away, what can I do? And we've just found quite a surge of people that are maybe not necessarily going to do it, but they're intrigued
yeah.
about the virtual assistant
I
community.
want to start to look into it. Yeah,
Yeah, so I found that, but then we've also found other people, have been really working their way through this by trying to upskill and trying to learn more and do different job role, and brush up on marketing skills, or communication
mm,
templates, or meeting software, or all that kind of stuff, and learn about all the new things that are out there. So they've got this big power plan when they go back in and think, right, this is what
mm.
I'm going to do to shake things up a bit. So you've got two completely different ends of the spectrum, I
You do,
found.
you do. I mean, I see that even amongst the EPA members, those that are still in work and working and not on furlough, they seem to be absolutely flat out, a lot of them, and acquiring, other jobs of people who've had to be put on furlough. And then even those on furlough, I've been really impressed in the EPA membership. Some of them joined that, was it the NHS First Responder, that app that was set up near the beginning to go and volunteer and do bits for their community. And a lot of our members have got stuck into that, as well as upskilling and taking all the opportunities they have. And they've done some wonderful stuff for their local communities. It's been really heartwarming. But I think that's a natural thing as an EA or PA. It's no matter where you are in life, whether you're at home, that it's just this overwhelming willingness to want to support, and I don't think that's just in the office. I know it's ingrained in me, so it certainly is out there in the EAPA community. But I do miss seeing everybody face to face, but I will be patient. And obviously, like you said, I just want everyone to be well and stuff, because I've been exposed to COVID the entire time without PPE equipment, but I've kept a really pragmatic head on, and that I'm in good health and I'm lucky, and I've got a lovely puppy and husband. So I think a lot of it's been about gratitude recently as well. And I've
Yeah,
spoken to a lot of EPA members. Everyone's saying, I'm just so grateful to have this or have that. And
yeah.
just kind of looking at your life in a bigger picture, really, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's just such a fantastic community. You can just see how everyone's pulled together. You know, all the networks, and yourself and everybody, everyone's doing something. And I think
Yeah,
sometimes I think we can all say there's probably lots of different choice, but that's never a bad thing, because it's always better to have lots of choice than no choice, out there at all. And I think everyone's kind of really stepped up and wanted to really be there for each other. And I think that's the thing that people will always remember through this time. I'll remember the people that have supported me and supported us, and not just professionally but personally. And
yeah,
it's not, everyone's dealing with something in their own way, but I think, as long if you can try to be as positive as you can,
yeah.
there are then, and portray that. I mean, this is what you're doing right now with all of these live sessions that you're having on the YouTube channel. Really positive, asking all the members about what they're doing and how they are in individual spotlights on people. I think will just be great. So
Yeah. Well, I'm so thrilled that you joined us today, and that more of our members outside of your region could get to know a bit more about who you are and the network and all that good stuff. And just for the future, when your conferences are back up and running, are they open to people outside of the West Midlands? So if any of our
yeah,
members want to come up,
yeah, definitely. I think we have got our conference penciled in for the 28th of September, but I think it's too soon. So we're going to do a half day online in September, and then a half day online in February. So it will be, perhaps a keynote speaker, an educational session, and then an aspirational talk on each of those days. We haven't quite worked it out just yet.
yeah.
And next September we should hopefully be back with the actual conference. We'd love to see you there, Vic, as well. But
I'll be there for
yeah,
shaving or waving the purple.
yeah, but yeah, so it's open to everybody, and everybody's welcome to come along. We encourage, the more we try to have we try to have different, to try and make it as different as we possibly can. So we normally have 6 different seminars running all at the same time, but people can choose which ones they want to go to. But we also have a keynote speaker and a panel discussion normally. But yeah, it's we're very young at conferences. We're very new to it, so we're just kind of going as we go. But we had 150 people at the last one, which was sold out, which is great. So yeah, we hope to do that again. And
I'm
it's been
sure.
seeing you.
I know, and you too. I think every time I do these interviews, I realise how much even more I'm missing people and being around. I mean, obviously, I'm around people through the night and at home, but it's just not the same, is it? And I think I did say when we run our EPAA conference next year in person, because we run several conferences through the year, I joked to some of the members that the first half an hour of the agenda will just want to be everyone hugging and saying hello and chatting away. And I remember Sheila Donnelly said that might not be a bad idea, actually putting that in the agenda so that people
Hug-a-thon at the beginning. Yeah.
biggest hug in the UK.
Yeah, definitely. No,
Yeah.
but I thank you so much for everything you do to support us. And I think hopefully after the last interview, we had a lot of people that were also interested in becoming EPA members as well, from Birmingham in particular. I know we can be quite, slow to get off the starting block sometimes, but when we're going, we're going. So
I would say with an association, you can't ever really sell it to anyone. People just come to it when they're comfortable. And PAs and EAs, a lot of them don't see themselves as a profession, so they wouldn't necessarily understand what national representation looks like. And that's why we never push it on people. And we have had a fair few members from your region recently, and I meant to message you yesterday saying, have you promoted us or done something? Because they all came in a couple of days, like in a time.
that's awesome. And I think that's the thing. It's we're being able to help and support each other and talking to each other like this. People might have always wondered, they've always seen EPA and obviously heard about it, and it's such a representation and association for their role. But once they know more and then get to know you, and then I'm great. It's great news. So.
Well, I'm just grateful that your members were so understanding that I didn't look like this when I was doing your online meeting. I'd not long come off a night shift, so I was just so grateful. They were so lovely, and I was like, "Thank you." I look like a
No, honestly, it's been great, and even everyone putting all the comments in there as well. Thank you to everyone. I can see there's a lot of the different networks, and we love to try and do something to support each other. So please just keep in touch, and if anyone needs anything anytime, just drop me a line, and I'll do anything I can to help and support you.
Oh, definitely. Well, that's what's so wonderful about you, and it's just so fantastic that you are the leader of that network for that region, because like I said, having seen many people try to start it up and it not quite getting there, to finally see the West Midlands having some proper representation at a regional level it's really, really fantastic. So congratulations to everything you've achieved. I think it's really impressive, and you're a very, very inspiring man, you are. And I'm not sure, being as busy as you have been, because I know what it's like doing networks on top of a full-time job, you don't often get the time to sit back and really understand what you've done for our profession. And I just wanted this opportunity to say this live. I think you've done a fantastic job. Very inspiring. So keep up the good work. And we'll see you all as soon as we're allowed. But we'll keep connecting online for now. And what is your website, Daniel, for anyone that wants to look at the conference, or anyone that ends up moving to the region?
Yeah, so it's www.pa-forum.co.uk. We've just launched our mentor, and we've just launched the PA Forum Mentor and Mentee initiative today, which is going to hopefully take a look at that if you like. We've had PAs that have volunteered to become mentors for up and coming people that want support, or for people that are in the profession and they want to learn and develop. So I think that's been really great that we've been able to pull on that fantastic resource that we've got in the area. So yeah, take a look at our website, and if you ever want to join us, let us know. Just come along to some of our events.
Fabulous.
All right.
Well, very much. It's been such a huge pleasure over the last kind of 50 minutes, and for giving up some of your time today. And I just want to wish you and your flatmate all the best of health and your family. And keep smiling as you are through this time. And I'll
Thanks
be
for everything you do. We appreciate it.
Thank you. And I'll be up to see you guys as soon as I can.
Yes, please.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye. Thank you.